So, sir, restructuring in emerging markets often present unique legal and economic challenges. Based on your experience, what distinguishes successful sovereign and corporate restructurings in emerging economies from those in developed jurisdictions?
The two sets of restructurings, emerging markets versus developed countries, they're fundamentally different. As to corporate debt restructurings in the emerging markets, there are challenges as to the capacity of the judiciaries, the strength of the insolvency laws. And there's another factor that comes into play in the emerging markets that is not so evident in the developed countries, which is the role of controlling shareholders. And their role has a critical effect on the dynamics of restructurings in the emerging markets.
So, sir, you have written extensively on how political and economic realities intersect with insolvency and debt restructuring. How do domestic political considerations and governance structures influence the effectiveness of restructuring frameworks in emerging markets?
In emerging markets, the restructurings don't take place in a vacuum.
Right.
And for example, even the role of the media can have an important impact. For example, a debtor, and when I speak of a debtor, I'm really talking about the controlling shareholders. They could attempt to put out a message to the media that the foreign creditors are here to take advantage of our domestic companies
Right.
and our domestic resources. And so that can lead to a feeling antipathy towards the foreign creditors. And so the foreign creditors may feel some pressure to be a little more accommodating. So emerging market debt restructurings take place within the broader political economy of the host country.
So, how do you find the conference so far?
Well, I think as in the previous two conferences I've attended, the ILA conferences, it's first rate, excellent material being discussed, very good discussions at a very high level. So I've thoroughly enjoyed it and have benefited from it greatly.
Sir, lastly, I know you have closely followed the Venezuela sovereign debt crisis. So, in your view, could recent developments surrounding the Maduro regime, including the possibility of a political change, materially impact the future of Venezuela's sovereign debt restructuring process?
The capture of Nicolas Maduro on January 3rd was quite dramatic. The question is whether it will have a dramatic effect on economic and other developments in Venezuela, including the sovereign debt restructuring that needs to take place. Venezuela has over $150 billion in outstanding liabilities. That would make it the largest sovereign debt restructuring in history. The problem is that the fact that Maduro is no longer in Venezuela does not change the fundamentals that Venezuela was facing a month ago, namely that Venezuela is facing a grave humanitarian crisis. It's facing an economic crisis. The economy has shrunk by 3/4 in recent years. That's 75%. It has runaway inflation. It has a currency that's virtually worthless, which has led to greater use of the dollar, dollarization in Venezuela. And third and finally, Venezuela has a crisis of legitimacy in its government. Not just the tensions between the Maduro, what they call the Chavista forces, and the democratic opposition, but the government has lost its capacity to properly govern the society. There's no reliable delivery of basic services. And so that will have to be something that needs to be addressed going forward, the establishment of a credible, reliable, legitimate government. So, as you can see, the road ahead for Venezuela, which includes the sovereign debt restructuring process, will be very complicated and very challenging.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for your insights. I think they'll be very useful.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure speaking with you.